Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for UFC 325. In this one, we have a welterweight clash that's quietly fascinating from a stylistic perspective. We have Jonathan Micallef taking on Oban Elliott. On paper, these two are pretty similar, both in size, as they're both 6 foot. Again, at welterweight, but when you dig into how they fight, you can find a real difference that could decide this matchup. As you have Micallef, who's a rising Australian prospect, riding momentum early in his UFC career, coming off his UFC debut win over Kevin Giuseppe. Meanwhile, you got Oban Elliott, who at this point is a bit more established in welterweight, as he went, as he is currently 3-1 in the promotion. But went on a nice little win streak, beating Val Woodburn, and Preston Parsons, knocking out Basil Hafez. Then in his most recent fight, which was last July, he lost to Sok Hyung Kyo, who, granted, I think Kyo is an absolutely fantastic prospect and someone to keep out for. And I'm really looking forward to this fight with Jacoby Smith. But that's neither here nor now. But still, I think Oban's pretty good. Now, this is actually a rebooking. These two were supposed to fight back September of last year on the Olberg versus Reyes card. Unfortunately, I think it was Elliott who pulled out. I think it was due to an illness, but they book it back and they're ready to run it once again in Sydney. So, without further ado, let's get down to the breakdown. Starting with Jonathan Micallef. He's an 8-1 as a pro. Fights out of the southpaw stance with a long range, about 77-inch reach, and a good finishing streak that's sharp in his limited UFC experience. Now, he didn't finish Kevin Giuseppe, but he did get a nice triangle choke against Mohamed Abo to win his contract. Now, for Micallef, he brings a high work rate. He brings high work rate numbers, especially on the feet, and a mix of submissions and strikes is his toolbox. Micallef's average fight time is about 9 minutes, reflecting a willingness to press and look for finishes rather than just coast the decision. Now, you look at it statistically speaking, Micallef is strong offensively. He lands a high number of significant strikes per minute, but he also absorbs a lot of offense in return. So his striking defense sits about mid 50% percentile, meaning he can take strikes as much as he throws them. On the ground, he's very capable, but his takedown defense isn't elite, and his grappling transitions aren't always dominant. Now, you look at Oban Elliott, 12-3 as a pro. He's a bit more of a well-balanced and more of a veteran approach. Elliott doesn't get rushed. He picks his spots, as his striking accuracy and defense are pretty solid. He's shown he can mix offense with patience, and Elliott's averages fewer significant strikes per minute than Micallef, but he absorbs far fewer as well. And that does tell you something important. Elliott doesn't trade. He picks smart spots to engage and limits damage efficiently. Mostly is basically another way to look at it is, while he doesn't throw as much volume, he's very good at firing and then staying very defensive. That's kind of how he knocked out Basil Hafez, right? Just waited for the right openings and landed the crushing overhand on Hafez, as Hafez was a little overzealous and defensively void. I think another key difference in their styles is Elliott's takedown numbers and scramble shows he's pretty tough to pin. Now, I know what everyone's going to say about this. Oh, but he got absolutely dominated on the ground by Sok Hyung Kim. That is very true, but Hyung Kim has a really good Sambo background, and Sok Hyung Kim has very good understanding, has a very good understanding of balance, his positional placement, and the ability to ride positions and transition to the next one. But other than him, nobody's really dominated Oban Elliott on the ground, because Elliott, it is solid enough to avoid extended ground control from aggressive grapplers. And you look at some of the guys he's fought, right? Basil Hafez, primarily wrestler. Preston Parsons, wrestler. Val Woodburn, kind of just more athletic, really, than anything else. So it's not really. So really, it's like Cho had the skills to do it. Now, could Micallef do it? Maybe, maybe. So overall, in basic terms, I think Micallef is an offensive interior with high volume and good finishing instincts, while Elliott is more of a strategic grinder. He lands smart strikes, defends well, and lets openings come to him rather than forcing them. Now, how these two clash? I think first is pace and pressure. Micallef likes to push a fast pace early, lands a lot, moves forward, and Micallef forces opponents to react. That's great against fighters who sit back or don't want to engage, like Kevin Jousset, right? Kevin Jousset has a very safety-first style, not really an aggressive guy, and Micallef was able to win the fight mostly off aggressions and a lot of kicks. But Elliott doesn't shy away from movement. He doesn't let early pressure really fluster him. Instead, Elliott absorbs, resets, and responds on his terms. And then over the course of a round, that kind of measured defense could start to build a psychological and tactical advantage for Elliott. Then you look at the range and timing. Micallef's long range and southpaw stance give him tools to set up kicks and straights from the outside, but those same tools can get him punished if he telegraphs too much. Elliott, with a traditional orthodox stance and solid strike defense, doesn't overcommit. He uses footwork to create angles and counters. He doesn't just straight firefight. That's a subtle difference. But over a 3-round fight, it matters. Fighters who choose good moments to strike rather than just strike often, I think, tend to win the close and later rounds. Now, then you look at takedowns in the groundwork. Micallef has solid wrestling tools, but his takedown defense sits around the middle of the division, while Elliott's takedown defense is slightly better, and he's shown he can scramble and neutralize ground control pretty well. And I think that means also if Micallef gets the fight down, Elliott is less likely to be dominated on the mat. Instead, Elliott can force scrambles, get back to the feet, and keep the fight in space where he thrives, on balance and under his terms. Finally, you really just kind of look at the theme here, defense versus aggression. Micallef has the offense, but Elliott has the ability to let the offense come in, neutralize said danger, and then make Micallef work for every successful attack. And that's the kind of fight I think psychologically can wear down an opponent. Not through big shots, but through control of exchange and force reset after reset. So, with all that said, my official prediction, I'm going to go with Oban Elliott because of his defensive clarity, fight control, and balanced offense. Micallef can absolutely win. He's young, explosive, hungry, and very technically skilled, for sure. But Elliott has shown the ability to weather storms early, reset, and take over as the fight settles in. His defense isn't flashy, but it's pretty effective. His timing is wild, but it's accurate. And in matchups like this, control beats chaos over the distance. So I think smart money here is on Oban Elliott to win, slowing down Micallef's early pace, forcing Micallef into a tight technical sequence, and then capitalizing where it counts. So, once again, my official prediction, I'm going to go with Oban Elliott, and I'm going to pick him via decision. He's not really much of a finishing machine. Now, like I say, he got a nice knockout over Basel Hafez, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do the same with Micallef. Like I said, Elliott, he's good at winning rounds. He's good at winning he's good at winning minutes, and he's good at winning rounds. He's more so a decision fighter than he is a finisher. So, once again, I'm going to pick Oban Elliott, and I'm going to pick him via decision. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown of this matchup. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think's going to win. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. And remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.